muscle weakness, twitching and cramping, constipation, hypertension, muscle fatigue and weakness, and even some mental issues can be due to low potassium, which is an electrolyte. So why do so many electrolyte drinks not have any potassium in them?
I'm Jackie, here to answer questions about my journey from fat, weak, and sick to trim, strong, and healthy.
My personal healing journey occurred in the Eat Like a Bear group, where some people think they're fine just doing sugar-free Gatorade or Powerade or even drinking pickle juice, all of which are good sources of sodium, but very little, if any, potassium. It's fine for rapidly resolving the keto flu symptoms, but it can cause other symptoms if you're not getting enough potassium. Note that all of my discussion, if you have advanced kidney disease or are on dialysis, you need to be taking your advice from your nephrologist, not from some crazy blue-haired chick on the internet, okay? So, with that caveat, let's go on. I think that the main reason that so many people in the group are fine without doing anything about potassium specifically is just because our most popular meal type is what Amanda calls the ridiculously big salad. Basically, you're eating a huge pile of greens in a bowl bigger than your head. Huge pile of greens. If I will link to this below, but Chris Masterjohn has a database where you can look up the foods that have the highest potassium for the fewest carbs. And if you go through that list and play with it a bit, you'll find out that the best foods, most of the best foods on page after page after page of the database are greens. So eating huge amounts of greens may be enough for some people. If you keep going further in the database, you will eventually get to the point where you realize that meat, poultry, fish, shellfish, these things also have a lot of potassium. So if you are, as in the ridiculously big salad, eating a huge amount of greens full of potassium with some meat or protein source with more potassium on it, then you might be getting enough. Here's why I think it can be a problem, though. I and my good friend Anna run around the group all the time telling people that sodium is not good enough, you need potassium too, and I'm going to discuss now why that's especially true for diabetics. You see, what happens is that high blood glucose causes potassium to leave the cell. It's supposed to be high in the cell and low outside, but high blood glucose pulls it out. And then high insulin tells the kidneys to throw it away. So basically, it moves out of the cell, into the blood, out through the urine. Diabetics are basically potassium-losing machines. It is something we do better than anyone. And while it might not apply to everyone who's overweight, it seems to me that a lot of them are insulin resistant, if not the vast majority, even if they have not gotten bad enough to yet get an actual diabetes diagnosis. We are low on potassium. Low potassium is a common cause of hypertension. The recommended daily allowance was set at between 4,000 and 5,000 milligrams approximately, depends on age, sex, etc. But it was set that high as the amount needed to keep blood pressure down. Potassium is necessary for nerve function as well, which means a deficiency can cause irritability, fatigue, brain fog, even depression and anxiety. It also has to do with muscles contracting and relaxing. So you can get muscle weakness and cramps, and it can cause constipation because your GI tract works by muscle contraction. So if you don't have enough potassium, it's not working so well. Cramps is how I first discovered my own personal potassium issues. I woke up from a dead sleep screaming with a horrible Charlie horse in my leg, in my shin. I learned that this was due to low potassium, and I started sleeping with this on my nightstand, light salt. which is probably backwards on the computer, on the camera. It's Martin light salt, just the regular stuff. You can find it in any grocery store. This is half sodium chloride and half potassium chloride. Sodium chloride being normal salt, potassium chloride being a potassium source. Let me tell you what the downside of this is. Potassium tastes like hell. It's very bitter. Okay? There is a product, there are competing products, one called New Salt and one called No Salt, which are just potassium chloride. They are, in my opinion, completely inedible. This stuff is still not exactly yummy. However, when you wake up screaming, it turns out that the fact that that's not yummy is not a deterrent. You eat some to get the pain to stop. If you want to try to get it from your diet, the common recommendation is bananas. Bananas have, on average, 5 to 10% of the recommended daily allowance of potassium. Given that one banana will spike my blood glucose, I can't eat enough bananas to do anything. Avocados are a better source than bananas. They have about 700 milligrams of potassium each, which is not bad, except again, we're aiming at 4,000 to 5,000 milligrams. Well, that would be about 1,500 calories of avocado a day. And I do really love avocado, but I really don't want to be on an all avocado diet. That's a bit too much. So we next think, of course, of supplements. And supplements are pills you buy at the drugstore or wherever. And is Jackie going to tell you to buy one? No, she is not. You know why she's not? Because supplements in the United States are only allowed to have 99 milligrams of potassium. So the government, the same government, says you can only put 99 milligrams of potassium in this pill and you need 4,000 or 5,000 milligrams a day. Why is there this discrepancy? Well, basically it comes down to the fact that some people are stupid. And massively raising or lowering your potassium all at once will kill you. This is how we kill people on death row, is by an injection of potassium, very high amount all at once. And because the government doesn't want stupid people accidentally killing themselves from supplement pills, they're not allowed to put very much in them. I mean, if you want to eat 40 or 50 pills a day, that's a way to do it, but I had to be real with you. Ain't nobody got time for that. So if your serum levels are low, which of course you can have very low potassium and have okay serum levels, but if your serum levels are actually on the low side, a doctor might prescribe for you a potassium supplement. These are, for instance, K-Dur is one, Chlorcon is another. There's a whole bunch of them. They're all generic, very, very cheap. That's not the problem. The problem is that they are huge. In order to be safe and prescribed, and stupid people can't accidentally kill themselves, they are time release, and the matrix that makes them time release makes them horse-sized pills. When I was in rehab, I had low potassium, and 3 or 4 a day I had to swallow these things. And I will tell you why you might not accidentally overdose on potassium. What you might do is you might choke to death on the damn things. Anyway, because I'm a chemist, when I got home, I just did the math and figured out how much potassium bicarbonate to put that I needed so I didn't have to swallow these pills. And because I already made a strawberry lemonade drink out of strawberries and lemons and some stevia, I made this to put vitamin C in. And because it's yummy, I decided I'd put potassium bicarbonate in instead and mask the potassium bicarbonate. It works. The recipe is in a link below. So when I joined the Eat Like a Bear group, Anna was running around telling everybody to make an electrolyte drink, and she suggested salt for sodium and cream of tartar for potassium, because cream of tartar is potassium bitartrate. I calculated similar ratios for my strawberry lemonade, and also for people who cream of tartar isn't as common as it was in Julia Child's day, so using light salt, new salt, and no salt. calculated all of that out, so people had some different recipes to choose from. Some people do seem to find the idea of measuring salt and a potassium source into water on a daily basis to be a bit much. And I found a similar ratio in Keto Chow electrolyte drops. They also have a tiny bit of magnesium, but it's not really relevant if you ask me. The sodium-potassium ratio is good. This looks like a relatively little bottle, but it's extraordinarily concentrated. It's way stronger than for me to have a pint of my strawberry lemonade. It also comes with this little bottle that you can refill, and this is handy because it fits in my pocket, which means when I'm moving, if I'm gardening or hiking or riding my bike, if I have low sodium symptoms, I have this on me. That's a good product. That's also linked below. I recommend that everyone use a good electrolyte drink, a good one with good sodium and potassium levels, as it is difficult to get enough in your diet, particularly if your cells have been emptied for a very long time. Just as in the sodium video, I discussed the Pure study for sodium. Well, they also studied potassium, looking at cardiac events, stroke, all-cause death, and death from cardiovascular disease. They figured out what was the ideal potassium intake for people. And the answer that they came up with was between 2,000 to 3,000. So maybe you don't need 40 or 50 potassium pills. You could get by with 20 or 30. Just kidding. The bad news, here's the bad news, okay? Maybe I've convinced you about sodium, maybe I've convinced you about potassium, but there's a third electrolyte you really need to be very cognizant of, not just diabetics, but non-diabetics too, and that is magnesium. If you're not totally bored listening to me talk about electrolytes, then subscribe so you can see when my magnesium video comes out. Meanwhile, be sure to check out the playlist to the left where I talk about the 4 steps needed to reverse diabetes and kick diabetes to the curb.